Scrapper is about a kid called Georgie who's really happy living on her own and is really happy in the world she's in. She kind of doesn't look at what she's got and think she has less than other people. She always thinks that what she's got is the best you could have, I suppose. So I think the film always came from like a child's outlook on upbringing or whatever. You know, when you're a kid, you're given anything and you think it's the best thing in the world and you don't see that other people have more or you have less than others.
The story is about, as Charlie said, about Georgie who basically at the start of the film she loses her mum and she starts to look after herself in the only way that she knows how, in the only way a 12-year-old would. And as Charlie was saying, she doesn't really think too much about the drawbacks of that. She finds her own systems of living life and being happy with that. And so we jump forward 2 months and she's there in her own flat, living alone, but it's not really a sob story. It's not that version of what that story could be. It's actually much more joyful, much more funny than that. She has her best mate Ali. They go outside, they steal bikes, they sell them on, and that's how she makes money and pays her bills. So she's sort of fallen through the cracks of the social services and the system generally. And then out of nowhere, her dad, Jason, who she's never met before, springs out of nowhere and demands to be part of her life. And he's sort of the opposite of her. She's almost like an old lady in a 12-year-old's body because she's had to look out for herself. And he's like a little boy in a man's body.
We did a Guardian documentary called No Ball Games where we went around the UK and filmed like kids all over on different council estates and how they spent their summer, just like kind of the games they created and the world they created in that summer holidays. And I think that changed the script quite a bit, like just how resilient they were and how magical everything was to them. Like no matter what was happening, there was like a magic twist they could put on it. And I suppose that outlook really changed the film into what it is and made it kind of like a kid's perspective film where we see more things that we're not sure are real or not. That was kind of something we always wanted to show, is that everyone kind of looks out for each other in areas like this, or like for the kids this is like the best place in the world, which I think it is in lots of ways, you know, like you have like your best mates next door and you can play out with like even if you go to the centre of Limes Farm on a summer day, like there's like 50 kids like just all over different areas or something, just all playing together. And I suppose that was always something we wanted to show.
There's a line in the film where she says to Ali when they're going to sleep at night, "Oh, my mum told me that I would be up in the sky." So in some ways she's like trying to build a tower to get back to her mum. And I think at one point we were doing research in terms of like how children cope with grief, and I think it's called magical thinking. Like there are things that people do which are completely illogical that in some way try to attempt that if I do this, this and this, then maybe I'll get back to that person or they'll come home. So I guess it's like a twist on that idea. We share everything in terms of like the creative side of things. Not to say that I'm directing, but like we work very closely on the script together, and similarly, like Charlie will, you know, help me with aspects of producing, and so it's very like, we kind of share the burden on both ends.
We both got obsessed with her tape as soon as we saw it. Like, she came to the audition and was like, and I've told her this, she won't mind it. Shocking. She didn't say a word, she just sat there saying, I don't know, like, and she just wouldn't say anything, not sure. But in her tape, she did like voices, and she was just like so charismatic and was talking about her and her mum's addiction to home bargains. Just in her tape. She didn't bother answering our questions, she just told us about home bargains and why they both loved it. And we were just like, yes, we were like the home bargains girl, she's the one we want.
Yeah. Harris is just an incredibly like generous and warm person, and when you're working with kids, that's like essential.
We've known each other a really long time, and we did like a lot of our first projects together. So I guess we've always had a really good working relationship. She's incredible, like, and just like anything you imagine, which like does your head in, she'll never say no. I'll be like, Eleanor, it's got to be like just a room of clouds, and she's like, yeah, we can make that happen.